Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrible General Health System's Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
And as you read Facebook and you saw the news circulating last week on HTV, we lost a very dear friend and coach, Jack Becker. And everyone I talked to last week said, he was my coach. Well, yeah, he was my coach. He was Terry Bro's coach. He was Mike Bluant's coach. He was Jimmy Watkins' coach. He was a whole bunch of people's coach, along with Coach Albert, Coach Benella, Coach Luke when you coach, Coach Neal. When you coach, I guess you coach a lot of people. So over the years, just a tremendous coach, tremendous teacher, tremendous person. His degree was in guidance. And so we have a panel set up, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Coach Becker. And I want to turn first to Coach Albert, who's a legend and one of my dear friends. And, Coach, I know that had to hit you pretty hard when you heard about Coach Becker.
It surely did, Martin. It was just a complete surprise. I had seen him about 2 weeks before. We had gone to the Vanderbilt Hall of Fame banquet that they had, and he seemed to be fine, doing well, being Jack.
Yeah. What was it like? Because you really a good gauge to talk about those years before all of us, before Terry, before everybody was there, when y'all were just setting the seeds for these programs, but y'all had a young staff, y'all were all together. What was it like to be around Coach Becker?
Well, Coach Becker, as most people know, originally came from Missouri, and he had a lot of different ideas and different ways of doing things, and it took a while for the people at Vanderbilt to get adjusted to him. But once they got adjusted to him, they just loved him, and he just came in. And you know, I spent 23 years at Vanderbilt. But I really feel like one of the best things that I've accomplished at Vanderbilt in those years was convincing Jack to go over to Vanderbilt and become a coach. I remember it was about 50 years ago when I had a knock on my front door, and it was Jack Becker. And I thought it was a hippie. He had long hair, dressed just like almost a hippie. And he told me he was back down, he's planning to stay, and he's looking for a teaching job. So I said, Jack, won't you come to Vanderbilt with us? And I brought him over, talked to the principal, and for the next 41 years, he spent at Vanderbilt coaching and guiding in the guidance department and teaching. He's also was a science teacher, a really great science teacher.
Yeah, I always tell this story that the first day of class, matter of fact, I remember when my dad dropped me off at Vanderbilt to you, because y'all were friends, and he said, Coach Albert, here's my energetic son. When he steps on a line, you can do whatever it takes to bring him back in line. Well, that same day, we're in 8th grade science class, and Coach Becker walks in, and I turned the Brian Molars on. I went, ho, 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 green giant. And I said it real low. He stops in his tracks. I'm all the way across the room, and he goes, son, stand up. So I stood up. He goes, what's your name? Martin Foss. He said, son, you're going to realize I have a lot better hearing than you'll ever think. And I sat down. From that day on, we were friends. About 6'7". He was a gentle giant.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was off the beaten path, wasn't he, Coach? A little philosophical in nature.
Yeah, quite a bit. He had his ideas, you know, the way things should be done. And if he was believing that something should be done a certain way, he was going to do it that way, no matter what people thought about him or anything.
And one of those things he did well and did not care what people thought was dressing. And I know his wife's going to be watching this show. And I wore my ugliest coat in respect for Coach Becker. But the ties he wore, the clothes he wore, and the jokes he told were the corniest jokes of all. That was his trademark, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Did y'all get used to that?
Yeah, eventually you get used to it, you know. And
Took a while.
he
huh?
was just a great guy. He was just a great guy. And I tell you what, although he spent the vast majority of the later part of his life in South Louisiana, he was really, really loved to be from Missouri. I've never seen it. If there's a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals living that liked the Cardinals more than Jack Becker, I'd like to meet him because he would spend hours listening to the Cardinals on the radio, and if he was going someplace or anywhere. And I really think he preferred listening to them on the radio than he did watching them on TV.
But that gave y'all some friendly opportunities because you were a big Giants fan, and he
Yes.
was a Cardinals fan. Did any bets ever transpire?
No, we didn't really bet. We all, whenever they played each other, you know, if we see each other sort of right after, we would razz each other a little bit if the Giants or the Cardinals would win.
All right, let's hold that thought. Jimmy Watkins just walked in too, so we have a lot of guests and a lot of panel here to discuss the life of Coach Jack Becker. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with a lot more.